Right, yeah, so, new video. Here we go. It is Christmas time. I've got the tree up. I'll take my old spectacles off. So, the other day, I was walking around HMV, and I stumbled across this. Shelby Oaks. Yes, this is the film directed by Chris Stuckman, who is a YouTuber. And I just decided to buy it. I would have liked to have maybe seen it in the cinema, but I remember there was a couple of screenings, but there wasn't a lot. There wasn't a whole load of screenings, so I just didn't really get around to doing it. But anyway, I haven't seen the film yet. I'm just gonna like talk for a little bit about Chris Stuckman and just give you my thoughts on him, because there seems to be a lot of controversialness about him. People don't like him. People have said some stuff about him. Don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with a lot of the things that have been said, or, you know, some of it, yeah, is a little bit off. But I don't know, I don't think he's like this person that we need to cancel. You know, he's not like Harvey Weinstein, and I don't think, you know, because he's just a guy on the internet. You know, he's just a YouTuber on the internet. You know, I don't think we need to hold him accountable for just having a different mindset, because he was a film critic, and recently in the last couple of years he's been sort of purposefully not reviewing movies that he hates. I can understand his mindset of like not wanting to be negative, the fact that he's making movies now and getting into Hollywood and stuff, and you know, like he's best buddies with Mike Flanagan, who is a film director, does horror films. He doesn't obviously want to badmouth a whole bunch of films directed by his peers or whatever, by his friends and people that he might want to work for, you know? So I understand it. And I understand as well, just sort of like, you get to the age of like 30 and stuff, and you're less angry about things, about the world. When you're in your 20s, you're a little bit more like, you want to really express yourself, and you really want to just be like, I think this, and I love that, and I hate this, and these are my views on this, you know? You want to be like that. And I think when you get into your 30s, or when you get older, you start to sort of calm down a bit, and you're not trying to prove anything to anybody or whatever, and you kind of want to be more positive, you know? You just want to be more positive. You know, I get it, but I also understand why people don't like him. And the thing about this film, I've heard what other people have said about it. I've listened to a lot of people, what people have said. People are kind of like hating it just for the fact that it's Chris Stuckman. And just to like talk about like my backstory, if you will, with Chris Stuckman, I've been watching him for years, to be honest with you. Like I've been watching his videos for ages. Like I think since like 2010. I think the first video I ever watched of him reviewing, it could have been The Last Airbender, or it could have been The Happening. I don't know. It was definitely an M. Night Shyamalan movie, but you know, I remember actually kind of like, you know, because I was a big fan of Jeremy Jahns, and there was a lot of YouTube movie reviewers at the time that I would watch, like the Schmoes. You know, there was this one guy called Peter Rollis. I don't know if anybody remembers him. Like he's gone nowhere now. But and there was also like Tom Chattelbash. I don't know. I think he's still around. I think he's still making videos, but he's not as successful, I don't think, as Jeremy Jahns. And yes, and there was Chris Stuckman's friend, John Flickinger, or the Flick Pick, whatever. I can't remember what his actual name was. Was it Flickster or Flickinger, or anyway, that guy. You know him. Yeah, like him. I was more of a fan of him, and there are other YouTubers that I am more of a fan of, but I've always found Chris Stuckman sort of like the most consistent, I would say. And whether you think he's boring or whatever, you know, I've always found him like the most consistent. Like he's just consistently putting out a video, giving his little thoughts. Some videos like his Prometheus video he did, and there was a Die Hard 5 video he did where he you know, talks a little bit more about it, gets into detail. But yeah, he just sort of gives these like 5-minute just quick like reviews where it's just like, this movie was good, I liked the cinematography, you know. And I remember actually like the first video, again, I think it was The Last Airbender. I remember I started watching it, and I remember feeling like, this is a bit boring. I might stop watching this now. And I did. I stopped watching it and then went to do something else. And then I was just like, actually, no, you know what? I'm going to go back and watch the rest of that video, you know? And then after that, I started watching all of his other videos and kept on watching and kept on watching. And then there was a time when he sort of went away, which, you know, obviously that has been explained, because apparently he was like a Jehovah's Witness. He went away, but then he came back. And yeah, like the whole Jehovah's Witness thing makes a lot of sense. Like, because I, you know, none of us had any idea about that. Because he seemed like an all right sort of nice fella, but he seemed like, I don't know, he seemed a bit sort of sheltered, I guess, or, you know, like he couldn't really do the things that he wanted to do. Anyway, I am yapping, and I haven't even gotten to the film yet. But I just thought I would like talk about Chris Stuckman. And look, you know, again, he's not my favourite YouTuber, but I do respect him. You know, like what he's done, what he's been able to do with his YouTube channel, what he's been able to achieve. And he did a Kickstarter. He crowdfunded the money for this movie. He got like £1 million. I don't know if any of you have ever tried to do a Kickstarter or whatever, but you need like a big fan base. You need like a lot of support. You know, you need people to like you to do that. And so obviously people do like him, and people, you know, he's clearly built up something. You know, he's built something, and a lot of people out there like who want to like chat shit about him and stuff like that and say, oh, he's this and he's that and whatever. He's a hypocrite or whatever, or he's you know. I think maybe you're just a bit jealous, but you know, like I'm not like defending him, like, because I do watch a lot of other videos like where people do chat shit about him, and some of the stuff I agree with, like, you know, when he did that review of Madam Web, where he wasn't really like, he didn't want to criticize the director, he wanted to just talk about the studio and the producers, and he wanted to just say, well, they didn't allow her to make a good film, you know, like that sort of thing. And it's like, I don't know about that, you know. I think maybe the director had something to do with that movie being bad. But no, yes, I have been talking a lot about Chris Stuckman, and I obviously will try and edit some of this down. You know, that's like 10 minutes of me yapping. But I just thought I would explain my whole kind of view on him, and I think I'll probably just watch this film now, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it and talk about it. And you know, like, it's got a budget of £1 million, so you know, there's no excuse for it to be bad. And, you know, it says here, The Blair Witch Project meets Hereditary. Deeply wicked and downright evil. The scariest movie of the year. Oh, okay, all right. Steady on now. A horrific nightmare. It completely redesigns the horror genre. You'll crawl in your seat. Unnerving as hell. Okay, right. Sold. I'm going to watch this film now. I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to go in with an open mind. I'm not going to watch it with any negative thoughts, you know, or whatever. One other thing though, I will just say, like, he did badmouth the prequels at one point. He did kind of like jump on the bandwagon with the whole prequel hate, you know, like the Red Letter Media people built up the whole hatred of those movies, and on the internet it was just sort of, that was the popular thing to do. The popular thing to do was just to bash the prequels and say how awful they are, you know, oh, too much CGI, blah 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 blah. So, you know, now that he's made a film, you know, it's like, if I hate this film, you know, I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to say it's shit. If it's shit, I'm going to say it's shit. Anyway, let's watch it, because I've been yapping for too long now. Let's watch it. See you in a bit. Right then. Right. Yeah, so just finished it. You know what? I actually really, really liked it. And again, I know some people will probably be like, oh, you're just saying it's good because you're a fan of Chris Stuckman. And it's like, I'm not the biggest Chris Stuckman fan. I mean, as I say, like, I've been watching him for years and years and years. And I do like Chris Stuckman. I feel like he's always been consistent, you know, whether you like him or not. You know, look, he's done it. He's achieved it. He's made a film. You know, he's achieved his goal in life. You know, it's inspiring. He made a film. As I said, like, someone just texted me. As I said, you know, he's not my favourite one. I prefer Jeremy Johns or John Flickster, or that, you know, there's other people that I prefer. But I've been watching him for years and years and years, and you know what? This was pretty good. I will, however, say there is another YouTuber who I watch quite frequently, and he's called Aiton Shea Films, well, his channel is called Atoon. Is it Atoon Shay Films? Anyway, I really like him. I like what he does. He does like Checkmate Lincolnites, which is funny. But my favorite thing that he does is Frozen 50s Man. I really like Frozen 50s Man. But anyway, you should check him out because he's funny. And he does really good videos about history and historical movies and whatnot. And yes, there's a point to what I'm talking about here. He made a film a couple of years ago. What was it called? It was called Sudbury Devil. That was it. The Sudbury Devil. My brain was not braining. He made a film called The Sudbury Devil, and he made it on like a budget of like less than 20,000, and I think it was pretty good and pretty interesting and pretty exciting, and it was all to do with like witches and devils and things like that, and obviously because it was called The Sudbury Devil, but it was also like historical as well. But anyway, the point I'm just trying to make here is like, I would say I was more impressed with that film than I was this film, mainly because that film had like a zero budget. Like, well, in comparison to this, that film had like less than 20 grand budget, whereas this film had $1 million, maybe over $1 million. And then obviously I think Mike Flanagan, who's the producer or executive producer, he got involved after he saw a cut of the film, and then he added more reshoots or whatever, or added more scenes and improved the film, threw some more money at it, just to make the film better, basically, which is good. So I'm just trying to say here is like, this film was good, but the fact that it had $1 million budget, it's got there's no excuse for it to be shit. To be bad. And I mean, even though like, having $1 million, well, when I say pound, I mean dollars, having $1 million to make a film, you can make a bad film, but I feel like if you've got $1 million, then there's, I feel like that's an adequate amount of money to make a decent, like, little horror film. And that is what I think Chris Stuckman has done here. He hasn't made a film that is completely original and has never been, done before. This film, it starts out very kind of Blair Witch Project-y, and then it gets into that. After that, it gets into like when it's filmed normally, not like found footage, but like it then sort of is kind of like your generic woman is searching for something. She's searching for answers, and she's trying to find this, her sister, and all hell breaks loose and bad things happen. It's your basic kind of plot, really. It's like it's been done before. But I enjoyed this film for what it was, and it did actually legitimately, it freaked me out at points. I had goosebumps at times. I'm in the house all on my own right now, and I turned off all the lights and stuff, and it's like raining outside, and it's like windy, and we've got like a reef at the front of the door, and it was like the wind was like blowing the reef, so it was making a noise on the door, and I genuinely, like, as I was watching the film, had to sort of pause the film just to see if somebody was at the door, and there was like lots of noises and coming from the kitchen and stuff, and I was just like, okay, I'm a little bit freaked out now. But that's obviously, the movie was making me feel like that. It was putting me on edge, and I did have some goosebumps, and there were some moments where I thought, oh, okay, shit, that's a bit crazy. But no, yeah, like I would just say, like, this was a good decent film. There are some maybe like nitpicks I could throw at this film, like, at the beginning when like a dude shoots himself in the head. She's got blood on her face, like blood splatters on her face, but then she's not really in like a hurry to like wipe the blood off of her face. It's like still on her face. Like, I don't know about you, but like if I had blood on my face, I'd be immediately like get it off me, Or there could have been a moment where like the husband could have been like, you've got blood on your face, let's try and clean it up, and then she could have been like, no, get off me, like that sort of thing. That could have been a moment like that, or just a moment where she's really trying to like clean herself in the bathroom or something, because she's like, it's blood, it's another dude's blood, it's a dude's brain all splattered on your face. The husband didn't really seem like he gave a shit. Nah. He was He wasn't really very nice. But anyway, the acting was fine. Keith David was in it, and a dude who was in Aquaman was in it. I think I remember him. I think he was in Tulsa King as well. I don't know the name of the actor, but Keith David was in it. He's about the only like really well-known actor in the film. The main actress, she was fine. Riley as well, like, you know, you saw her at the beginning with like the found footage stuff. Very, very Blair Witch Project. You know, like the main actress was okay. She was definitely good at crying and definitely good at breathing. You know, she was just like like that. And there was a bit where they went to the Shawshank Redemption prison. I think it was anyway. And I actually think it's the same prison. I think Stallone shot a film there. I think it was the Escape Plan 2 or 3 or whatever. Yeah, there was like an action scene in a prison. I think it was the same prison. They've used it a couple of times in many different films. Anyway, look, the film was fine. It freaked me out at sometimes. And I don't know, maybe the bit where, like, you know, when she goes to the house, I don't know, like, you thought it was going to get really, really exciting, but then it, you know, when she finds Riley. Sorry, spoiler alert. But I guess the thing is, if you watch the film, I was kind of like thinking that the film was going to end just after that bit, after the house bit with all the mold, where like the demon woman, the witch woman, is doing like a curse or something. Yeah, I thought it was going to end there, but then it obviously carried on, and then it has one of those endings where it leaves you with a sort of a chilling feeling of, oh shit. Not a happy ending, which I actually think, you know, if you're going to do a horror film, that is kind of like the ending that you want to do, because it's a little bit risky. Happy endings aren't always good for like horror. What else can I say? But yeah, you know, like, look, it's controversial, this film, because of Chris Stuckman, and people obviously like want to criticize him, and I feel like people like are hating on this film just because it's Chris Stuckman, just because maybe they don't like him. Maybe a part of that is jealousy. Maybe you've got to sort of hand it to him, like he's achieved his goal in life, you know. And you know, look, I'm happy for him. You know, I've as I say, like I've been watching him for years and years and years. He always goes on about like M. Night Shyamalan, like Signs being one of his like favorite films. You know, so now it's like, it's kind of cool that he gets to be M. Night Shyamalan. You know, he has become M. Night Shyamalan. And I would say this film is actually better than some of M. Night Shyamalan's recent films. And people are obviously criticising Chris Stuckman, his writing. Some people are saying, next film, don't write the script. Get somebody else to write the script. That's what people are saying. I don't agree or disagree with that. I think, yeah, make your life easy. Get somebody else to write a script, you know, direct somebody else's script. Fine, you know, that's what I would do. But I wouldn't really say he's a bad writer or a bad storyteller. I thought this film was fine, really. I don't regret spending money on it, you know, buying the Blu-ray. He's now, I think he's going to sort of, you're going to see him eventually in the next year or so. I mean, I might be wrong, but I reckon he's going to come away from doing YouTube. If he gets to make another film, I think he's going to quit YouTube. I think he's going to stop. I hope he does make another film, you know, and he should maybe try something else. Maybe try doing something not horror, perhaps, maybe. But as I said, like, going back to like what I said about Aiton Shea films, you know, the Sudbury Devil, what he was able to do with a very, very tiny budget, I don't know, I just felt more impressed by that. And, you know, like, okay, maybe it's not as good looking, the film. I just feel like maybe Chris Stuckman has gone from sort of nothing to suddenly making $1 million movie, and maybe that's not the right, maybe that's, I don't know, maybe that's too much too soon, perhaps, maybe, I don't know. Because like when you look at Robert Rodriguez or Christopher Nolan, they both made their first ever films on like $7,000, you know, and then that movie then got them into the business, and then they got to get a little bit more money for the next film that they made, and then they built themselves up to making huge big blockbuster movies. Yeah, or like Guy Ritchie. Guy Ritchie made a short film, and then he did Lock, Stock, then he did Snatch, and then he did some other films until he did Sherlock Holmes, which is a big budget, multi-million-pound film. Dollar, obviously. I keep saying pounds, but it's dollars. Anyway, yeah, like, this video is going to be very long, but I feel like I need to cover everything. And as I say, like, you know, this guy, Chris Stuckman, you know, whether I like it or not, he's been in my life for a long time. You know, I don't know him personally and he doesn't know me. It's like a weird parasocial relationship where, sorry to sound weird, you know what I mean? Like, it's just sort of, it's like he's been there for a very long time, like years and years ago, you know, like I've been doing YouTube for like 3 years. I wish I'd started like 10 years ago, to be honest with you, because then maybe I might be at the same level as Chris Stuckman. I take away from this like inspiration. I want to do this. I want to make a film one day. I'd like to build up my YouTube channel. I want to make comedy sketches, yes, but I also want to make like some short films maybe, and you know, just build up my channel and like Chris Stuckman. I don't always want to do like film reviews though, but you know what, like he's proven that it is possible. He's proven that you can achieve this, that you can upload videos on YouTube, build up your audience, and then make a film one day. And I think that's great. And yes, there are some cringe things about Chris Stuckman. I know. You know, there's like videos of him dancing to Michael Jackson, which I'll show a clip right now. He can dance. That's pretty good. You know, it's quite impressive. You know, he's one of those surprising people where you sort of look at him and you think he's not going to amount to anything, and then voila, he does. But no, you know, I enjoyed this film. I thought it was good. Definitely, there was definitely some good tension, good suspense, and overall quite scary. Yeah, sure, we could nitpick. I'm not going to. You know what? I'm going to go to sleep now. I'm going to go to bed because I need to get up in the morning to go to work. Yeah. So anyway, Shelby Oaks, let's wrap this up. I think it was pretty good. And yeah, I think if you really hate this film, you've probably got like some sort of, I don't know, axe to grind, or I'm just saying like you should just chill out and just let Chris Stuckman enjoy this success, you know. Anyway, I'm really bad at waffling. Like I make a lot of videos where I waffle and I yap like a madman. So anyway, I'm going to stop now. Shelby Oaks, it's pretty good. It did scare me a little bit, not going to lie, right? There was a scary dog, scary weird demon thing, scary woman, some pretty good gore, some violence. I liked it. Right, bye. Thank you for watching. See ya. Bye-bye.